guys, this is Joelle from Scratch Farmstead, and it's August, and I imagine that your garden, like mine, is overflowing and you have more food than you know what to do with. And so I'm gonna share with you our favorite way to preserve all of those greens so that you can have them and enjoy them all year round. Okay, so we often hit this point in the year and I'm so overflowing in kale that I just don't even, I don't know what to do. I usually end up giving most of it to our cows, which they love it, and so that's a win-win. But if you want to preserve it for your family to be enjoying all year round, there's totally a way to do that that's actually really, really simple. And so, while it's awesome to enjoy the bounty of your harvest now in August, what we found is even more enjoyable is being able to enjoy that fresh produce that you worked so hard to grow in December, in January, and February, when your only alternative is to get it from the grocery store where it was shipped halfway around the world to get to you. And so we love being able to eat our own fresh grown produce all year round. And so in order to preserve greens, what we found is the best way to do this, to keep the nutritional value and to keep their integrity, is to actually dry them out and then blend them, or use a food processor to blend them into like a fine powder. And so you're gonna harvest your greens, and you can do this. My main thing that we are overflowing in right now is kale. So I'm gonna go harvest some kale here in a minute. But you can do this with any greens you want. So in the spring, we do this with nettle, or I've heard of a friend doing it with broccoli greens. Really any green that you have, any leafy thing that you're like, what do I do with this? I have so much, I don't know what to do, I can't use it all right now. You're gonna harvest that green, take those leaves, and then you wanna dry them out. And so there are a couple options for this. You can use a dehydrator if you have one. We currently don't even have a dehydrator. Maybe one day we'll get one. We used to have one, but it broke. So anyways, we don't have a dehydrator. So what I do to dry out our greens is I just lay them in a single layer on cookie sheets. And then you can either just lay them out on your counter, or if you want to speed up the process, put those cookie sheets out in a nice sunny spot. And within a day or two, those greens will start to really crisp up and dry out. And so what you're looking for is you want your greens to be kind of the texture, give you the crunch of like a fall leaf, you know, when you step on it and you get that nice crunch. That's kind of what you want your leafy greens to do, to know that they're ready. They should just be kind of crunchy when you feel them. And so you can lay them out and just dry them on a counter. That will take a little bit longer. It might even take 3 or 4 days, depending. Or you could dry them in the sun, or you could dry them in a dehydrator. Whatever method you want to do is fine. You could dry them in your oven at the lowest setting, but I found that heats them a little bit more than I want and even starts to brown the leaves. And so I have opted to just take a little longer and let them dry in the sun, or let them dry on the counter. And that works just fine for us. But it is important to keep them in a single layer. That will help the process go much more smoothly. If you stack them real high, it's gonna take them a lot longer to dry out. And so once you have your nice, crunchy, dried out kale or green leaves, you're gonna put them in a blender or food processor. And so you're just gonna wanna get them turned into a nice fine powder. And so I found just kind of by pulsing them, like we have a Vitamix, and I use the little pulsing stick thing that it gives you, and use that to push down. Or if you have a food processor, I think this would work really, really easily. Just trying to pulse those greens until you get to a fine powder texture. Now it will be really important to make sure you remove any stems from your kale or chard or whatever green you're using, because that's just gonna jam up your thing and not be what you want. So you just want the leaf portion, and you're gonna turn that into a nice fine powder. And then once you have it, you can just store it in jars, and this keeps beautifully in your pantry. And basically you can use it like you would any other spice. You can add it to soups, stews, smoothies, stir fries, scrambles, really anything. And the beauty of it is you're throwing in your kale, your greens, your nettle, whatever, and your kids don't even know about it. It doesn't really change the texture because it's a nice fine powder. You can pack a ton of nutrition, a ton of kale, all of that good stuff from your greens in, because it dehydrates down, and then when you turn it into a powder into such a small amount that it can pack a strong punch nutrition-wise without altering the taste or the flavor or the texture of your dish much at all. And so it's a way for your whole family to enjoy those preserved greens all year round in a form that's super palatable and super, super easy for you to just toss into whatever you're making. So that's it. So that's all you need to do to take all those fresh, abundant greens that you have and growing in your garden and turn them into a powder that you can have all year round. So grab your bag, grab your scissors, go harvest some greens and turn them into a kale powder or whatever you're using to have in your pantry all year. Thanks so much for stopping by the farmstead today, and we'll see you in the next video.